ready?
We're live.
Yeah, you're live.
All right. Hello, Patriots. Welcome to Stand United with Jack and Dennis. Let's stand for a pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Thank you.
That's a great pledge.
Remember we used to do that? We recite it in school every day.
Every day.
Something they don't do anymore in a lot of schools. It's ridiculous.
It's a good pledge. Pledge to be.
That's right. So I just want to start off tonight with a moment of silence for the victims and families of the Nashville Christian School. All right, thank you very much. Hope you are joining in with us. We also want to commend the law enforcement officers who responded to this incident. Y'all did an amazing job, and the residents should be thankful. They have professionals like you on the job. This was a split tragedy. No doubt it was a tragedy, and these officers acted very quickly. It was over within probably less than 10 minutes.
Tell you what, that's a running gun battle.
Yep.
With the perpetrator firing from behind protection, and they took her out.
Yep. Did you see the video of it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was some.
That was amazing, like what these officers did in so little time.
I mean, she was hiding behind, undercover, firing at these guys, and they took her right out. Dude.
But this is another tragedy that should have never happened. I'm not saying it's ever going to stop, but we can slow it down. These public and private schools need to wake up and start protecting our kids from not only this type of violence, but bullying, cyberbullying, Facebook bullying. They let these kids bring cell phones into school every day. It's ridiculous. The fights they have in schools every day. Administrators need to understand that our society has gone crazy, but they just don't get it. Not only have they let us down, these school boards, but our elected politicians have let the rule of law break down in this country. Just look over the last 3 years. They are not going to be the ones to fix the problems we have in this country. As parents and grandparents, we must be the ones to end this nonsense. We must demand that armed security officers be placed in our schools for the safety of our children. It should be paid by the state. Not saying the outcome would have been different, but you never know. If they had an armed officer at that door, could have held her off for a little bit longer till the police got there. And just maybe this tragedy wouldn't have ended the way it did. These security officers need to be in every state, in every school across this country. Child protection, protecting our children, far outweighs any cost associated with putting officers in the schools. Hire security officers now. Talking to states, I'm talking to the federal government, talking to the school boards all across the country, I'm talking to parents. Having to put security officers in these schools right now and protect our children who attend these schools. And we also need to protect our staff to teach these kids. Stop failing our children. They are the future of this nation. I also see the news media talking about how she was transgender. That has nothing to do with this tragedy. And she was under counseling for mental issues, but she was still allowed to buy guns in that state. 6 of them she bought. 3 of them were used for an unfortunate incident. Jack and I had a discussion earlier about the LGBT community. My daughter is part of that. And she's got a partner that I love to death. And they've got a child together that was brought into the relationship. And I wouldn't change anything. America is about choice. If that's what you want to be, do it privately. There's no reason for a transgender person doing a lap dance on a person that's under 18 years old at a college. What happened over the weekend or a few days ago. That's ridiculous. I have no problem with transgender people. None. But that's your business. You shouldn't be doing it out in public, forcing it on kids that are just coming into their own. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, you know, does your daughter consider herself part of that? Like, you know, like you said, she just lives a private life, raising her family, like every other American.
She still believes in the community, the LGBT community, because that's what she considers herself. But like I said, she is private. She does not go out and flaunt it to everybody. Hey, I'm this, I'm that. Give me what I deserve. She works very hard to get what she gets. Just like you do, just like I do, just like her brother and sisters do. You know? The way you choose your life is up to you. Find someone that can love you and you can love them. But don't flaunt it on everybody else. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, you know, when we were kids, it was the same thing. Like when you were young and you had a boyfriend, girlfriend, my mother, like, if you went to my house and I had a girlfriend, you know, we weren't allowed to lay on top of each other on the couch and stuff like that. And, you know, that's not for the public domain.
That's right.
That's for you guys. That's your private time, you know. And, you know, I don't understand why, you know, you trying to force something on somebody else is never going to make that person see your way. You know, you can talk about it.
But she does.
I mean, if you don't agree with it, that's okay. I don't agree with everything you do.
No, she
But
does.
you know what? Your private life is your private life. You know, and my mother, that was a cardinal sin, right, Mike? You go in there, you started kissing your girlfriend in front of the rest of the family or something like that.
You got to talk it to that night.
Yeah. And you'd be lucky if that girlfriend or boyfriend was ever allowed back in the house again.
That's right.
Bedrooms were off limits. She
Yeah.
didn't care what you said you were going to do. You're not going to
Yeah.
do.
Yeah, if you weren't married, if you had to go move into my parents' house and you weren't married, you weren't sleeping in the same room.
Right. So it wasn't because this person was a transgender. The problem is more and more people have mental illness. A lot due to this pandemic that keeps going on and on. But most from these doctors and these psychiatrists that want to put people on medication the first time they think about something. They're kids. They're going to say stupid shit. You know?
Well, not only that, though, the doctors aren't truthful.
No.
You know, they're not telling these patients what their problem is. They're going along with their problem.
Yep.
Oh,
Well, we
yeah,
can control it.
you have that because, you know, it's meant to be that
Yeah,
way.
we can control it, Junior.
Margaret says it's called respect for them and for yourselves.
There's no more respect in America, unfortunately.
Yeah.
You know? So,
Well, unfortunately, there's not much morals anymore.
right. Well, they have morals, they're just low.
You
You know,
Oh, it's almost gone.
You know, patients are getting younger and younger, and the states are failing these people. We see it here in this state, in South Carolina. Working in a hospital, I see it daily. The same people come back all the time for mental health issues. And some of them are really out there. Some of them are younger kids that just are lost. You know, their families, their mom and dad's failing them. You know, then the facilities they put them in, they're there for 2 or 3 days, and they say, "Oh, you're cured. Here's some medicine." And they put them back on the streets. They put them back in the same situation, back to their parents who failed them in the first place. It's wrong. It's totally wrong. You know, how does that help anyone with mental illness? At times, they become hostile and lash out at people. In other cases, they are the extreme, just like this tragedy. These so-called experts failing the people who need help the most, these mental health people. It's disgusting to watch, but the media is also to blame. They keep running this story to create a false narrative. That's just for the politicians to create their, oh, we need to take away guns, oh, we need to do this, oh, we need to do that. They ain't doing nothing. Politicians use this, politicians on both sides of the aisle use this for their own benefit. It's been said many times over and over. Never let a tragedy go to waste.
Yeah.
Shame on these politicians. See, we can't rely on politicians to keep our schools safe or our children safe anymore. That's our job. You know, Tennessee State. Go ahead, Mike.
That's our jobs, but the government is trying to take that away from us.
Right.
They don't want us to raise our children. They want them to raise our children.
You know, a Tennessee State representative, his name's Burkett. He had this to say about politicians in the school shooting. If you want to legislate evil, it's just not going to happen. We need a real revival in this country. Let's call on our Christian ministers and our people of faith. He added, if you think Washington is going to fix this problem, you're wrong. They're not going to fix this problem. They are the problem. How long have we been saying that? 2.5 years?
They're the ones that got us here.
They're the ones that got this problem in the first place. He's right. They're not going to fix this problem. Nothing's going to get fixed. But we also must call him out. What is he doing as a state representative? What is his state doing to fix this problem? You know, I saw another. We just looked on the internet a couple minutes ago. Another shooting in Tennessee. 7 people shot, 2 people dead outside a restaurant in Tennessee. A lot of stuff happened in Tennessee. Where is he? I don't see him sponsoring any legislation. I don't hear him out talking smack that, hey, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. Because you know what? It's all talk. They do nothing. Same as the feds, and he's going to do nothing too. Guarantee it. It's just a blame game. Hey, let's blame the feds. Let's blame the federals. Let's blame the state. Let's blame the governor. Let's blame the sheriff, the police chief. They're not doing their jobs. Stop handcuffing the sheriffs and these police chiefs and let them do their jobs. You know, I understand we live in a liberal society. That doesn't matter to the safety of our kids. We need parents, grandparents, friends, neighbors, attend these school board meetings and get them to listen to you. Don't take no for an answer. Only we can make changes in the schools. We've already told you politicians aren't going to do it. You have what it takes to get security officers placed in schools, armed security officers, to protect your children. Again, go to these school boards, go to these states, go to these legislators, state, county, city, municipal, and tell them this is what we want. Could it have changed this incident? It could have. Maybe it couldn't have on this one. But you never know unless you put armed security officers in these schools to protect these kids. 3 grandkids I have. How many you have?
3.
He's got 3 grandkids too.
I have 4.
Mike's got 4. You know, who's gonna take?
And they're all in school.
You know, lucky mine aren't in school yet until next year.
I got 2 of them in school.
It can happen any day, anywhere. But luckily down here, South Carolina has not only police officers in schools, but we have the armed security officers in schools.
Yeah.
So if you aren't pissed off yet about all the violence in America, you need to wake the F up. Because we all need to stand united on this issue. Lives depend on it. Children's lives depend on it. Staff of the school's lives depend on it. You know, it's so bad that 68% of Americans believe crime is a real threat in most communities. Just go to Myrtle Beach, Georgetown, Andrews, Hemingway, smaller communities around here. Crime is out of control. 50% of people disapprove of Biden's handling on crime. Can you blame them?
I want to know who the other 50% think he's doing good.
Well, they don't live in those areas.
No, they don't. Liberal cities like Portland, homicide is up 236%. Chicago's up 41%.
And you know,
What are they doing?
They don't take responsibility for it. They pass it off.
That's
How
why
can they look at these numbers and not take blame for it? I don't understand it.
that's why Mayor Beetlejuice got kicked out.
Well, you know, Mike, that's what we're saying. You know, we have a systemic problem. And that's that these politicians live in a world that they want to live in,
Yeah.
and we're living in the world that we're living in.
And they
Thanks to the
refuse to see
politicians.
it.
Yeah.
Thanks to all these politicians for letting these criminals get away with murder. no pun intended.
Mm.
George Soros-backed district attorneys have failed the citizens of these large cities, small cities too. We have a right under the Constitution to be safe in our homes and our communities. But as you can tell, people are terrified to go outside. Just go to Chicago, go to Portland, go to New York City. My daughter moved out of New York City because the crime got so bad. Your daughter moved out of New York City because the crime got so bad.
I mean, companies are going. Big chains are leaving because they can't afford to be robbed anymore.
Yep.
The insurance is not covering them anymore.
Walmarts are closing left and right. In
Walgreens,
areas that have
Cracker Barrel.
in areas that they're very weak on crime, because these people are walking in and coming down with thousands of dollars worth of merchandise.
You know,
They can't afford to stay open.
all elected politicians, no matter if you're federal, state, county, city, municipal, they want to scare people to believe that criminals are good people. They are not. They are criminals for a reason. And trust me, they are not good. I worked in jail for 22 years before I became a police officer. Well, I became a police officer while I was in jail. Trust me when I say criminals are not good. You can't rehabilitate people anymore. They're country clubs. It's family reunion day every single day. The same people coming in day after day. Criminals can't fit in the community, so they steal from the community. And we let these politicians win by voting them in every freaking election.
Yeah.
I have nothing more to say on this. Junior?
Margaret says that's why New York is going to start to tax you if you leave the state.
Yep.
They're going to penalize you for leaving a state that is so unsafe for you that you have to leave.
Well, everybody in New York can sleep better tonight because it came down that they indicted Trump.
I think that's called a civil war.
So there's your true criminal. He's been indicted for something that the statute of limitations has been expired for 5 years.
And yet, they won't arrest any criminals out there beating people.
No.
This is a
All the
huge,
lewdness in San Francisco where people walk around naked. Walk around urinating on people's lawns and stuff like that.
you're lucky if that's what they do to you alone.
Yeah.
You know?
They're starting to defecate. Well, starting. They've been. I mean,
Yep,
it's
they have
ridiculous. You know, it's just, so they indict Trump, which is going to put a huge
We're
wedge.
gonna divide the America. We're gonna divide the people even more.
Very bad. Very, very bad.
Like I said, I will not be surprised if a civil war breaks out.
Personally, I think, we made this prediction a few months ago. I think the Democrats showed their hand too soon because the Republicans have a really very deep bench, and now these other players can get involved in this election. There's blood in the water. If they would have held off on this mockery, this circus that they're doing until closer to the convention, they wouldn't have been able to get anybody in his spot. Nobody would have been able to beat them. But now give him so much time now. A guy like DeSantis, Mike Pompeo,
Chris Christie, Nikki Haley.
Chris Christie, he's a joke too.
Yeah.
He's another Mike Pence. Go ahead, Jack.
Margaret says, God forbid it.
Yeah, well, that's true. So anyway, to move off from that, my topic today is because I get tired of talking about China and this one and that one, and we keep saying we're doing this podcast, and I'm going to run for a state legislator spot in about 18 months now. And we said we were going to show you our path on this. Whether it's right or not, we don't know, but it's our path.
We're gonna give it a hell of a shot.
We're going to do it. So here's the petition, state of South Carolina. So I have to put a mission statement here, which is going to have to be that I'm trying to run on an independent party. So they have different breakdowns. If I was running for Democrat, Republican, I'm running on this. So I have to do this, and I have to get this signed out. It's got to be 10 by 14. It's got 12 lines on it. I got to get about 10,000 signatures on there, send it to
State Board of
the
Elections.
State Board of Elections. Here's some more directions to it. And here's my statement of intention of candidacy and party pledge. I have to put this in there and send it to the state also. So here's my paperwork I have to do. And what happened was me and Dennis were playing golf last week, and he's like, what do you want to talk about this week? We were playing on Sunday. And it kind of felt like we were hitting play, stop, rewind, play, just talk about the same things because these are the things that are out there.
And they're important subjects, don't get us wrong.
Yeah, they are. But I figured, you know what? We keep saying we're going to show you how we're going to do this from infancy all the way to election day. So I'm starting to work on my spiel, speech, I guess you would call it, to introduce myself to the constituents when I start meeting at these different, groups and locations and stuff like that. Dennis inadvertently today found our slogan.
I don't know why I did that, but I'm good.
Yeah, but you did it. You did. He was sleeping, talking in his sleep. So our slogan is: we have a political problem, not a citizens problem. In other words,
I'm going to say that again in a little while.
Yeah, well, that's where we got it from. So our citizens, we're moving along. We're going in life, but we're following what our politicians are saying, and they're the ones that are problem. They're the ones causing us to be where we are today. So when I start these things, I didn't write it out verbatim. These are just my spitballing, and we figured I'd do this. And if anybody has any suggestions, they can send it in all our different ways of getting in touch with us.
Let me say one thing. If you live in South Carolina and you listen to this podcast, if you ever want to run for office, get in touch with us. It's right back here. Fed up with politics, and our email's right up there.
Yeah, you should read that off.
Where is it?
Right there.
USCG20211 You go to fedupwithpolitics.com. That's our website. You'll get in there, and it has all of this information. It's got emails. You can get in touch with us. It's got these on it. It's got a ton of work. Dennis did a great job. So when I go do these talks and meet the constituents, the first thing I'm going to want to let them know is that the people of this district should feel positive. They should feel positive of their current place, and more important, their future and the hopes of their children and grandchildren. Patriotism is down to 38%. Only 38% of the United States citizens feel patriotic about the country that they wake up in every day, raise their families, make their livings, go on their vacations. 38% are patriotic to America, all right? And that's got to change. And that's the feel I want to project when I'm starting to talk with these folks, that this is great. And this district is going to be great. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to ask them what South Carolina is not doing. Where's the shortcomings? What is making you feel that's holding you back? God bless you.
Thank you.
God bless you.
Let me know where you feel the issues of this state are that is not letting you succeed.
We have several.
Well, I wrote down a few, and I would figure I'd have to break the ice with a few folks and give them mine. Number one on the list, South Carolina got $2.5 billion of COVID relief money. And I want to know where it went. A lot of that money, when it was sold to us on the news, that the United States government was going to give this trillions of dollars out for this COVID relief and everything, they were talking about how it was going to go to the schools so they can change their ventilation systems. So that way, if God forbid there's another pandemic, your children can still go to school because the air there is going to be better than being at home. You send your kid to school. It's a safe place to go. Hospitals were supposed to change their ventilation systems. Where is this $2.5 billion? What did it go to? Where is it? I haven't seen one thing. I know for a fact I work as security in medical, and they started a surgery center, and they had a machine that fuses your skin together, and we could smell it through the whole building. So that's not an independent ventilation system, if you ask me. That's like, what the hell's that smell?
That's like somebody open a window.
Yeah, I mean, holy mackerel. Where is these funds? $2.5 billion to South Carolina. What is it? 3 million people live here?
6.
6 million people, $2.5 billion gone. Nobody knows where it is. Got to look into that. We got to find where that is and why it's there. There was another little thing. It's a little thing, but it's still a big deal because, again, they're stealing from you. This state, years ago, before we even started doing this, they passed a bill to raise a fuel tax. Started out the first couple of years, a penny a gallon. Then it's 2 pennies a gallon. I think it stays at 2 pennies a gallon, and every year they raise it. And those extra tax dollars were supposed to go to funding on doing road work, which is great. That's all right.
It'd be great if they used it.
Everybody did that. Now, if you're doing that, that's even better. But my question is, what happened to the funds that were being used to do the roads before? Where did they go?
You know, I brought up something earlier. They built like over 500 homes, maybe close to 1,000 homes in my development. Have they increased one roadside size of the road? No. Everybody comes in the same way as the way we had with the houses. We have to enter the same way and leave the same way. It takes forever
Yeah.
to get a development. You got to wait at a light
And this is a development
for 2 or 3 minutes.
500 to 1,000, not a neighborhood, not a town. Wasn't a whole. This is just a little section of a town. 500 to 1,000
This
houses.
is like maybe 3 square miles, if that.
So if they did 2,000 houses and there's 2 cars, we got 2,000 cars on the same roads. Go ahead, Chad.
My guess is the little things have big things happen.
Right. Now, talking about that, what Dennis was saying with these things going, the roads and stuff like that, and the schools and stuff, I'd like to talk about the first responders. The first responders, they have a crazy system. Everybody goes to the same academy. So if you're a first responder here in Horry County, where we live, in Myrtle Beach, let's say as small as Surfside, small little town, a town within inside of a town, almost. You go to the academy, you're getting paid over there, but then you find out Charleston's going to pay you $25,000 more a year. Get up, you move, you go down there. All your time gets there. There's nobody around. They can't keep filling these places in. Then they have this other crazy thing. Let's say you're a lieutenant in the police department, and your time is up. You have 25 years or whatever it is to retirement. You retire. So you're a young guy. You're 25 years, 50-something years old. You did your time. You retire. You can't get Medicare, and the county doesn't give you your health insurance. But this is what they do, like.
Yep.
They let you come back to work, get the same job you were at, the same rank you were at, and get your benefits back and continue to work. So now there's this young guy down here as a cop wants to start taking these promotional exams, but he can't because it's all backlogged from these old guys coming back after they retire until they're 65 so they can get their benefits. So now the county is paying them their salary, their pension, and their health insurance. I mean, what are you doing? I don't know if they charge the first responders for their insurance, but maybe we charge them for the insurance. It doesn't go to them. It goes to the retired guy. Now this guy can retire, and now all you have to do is pay his pension. You don't have to pay him another salary on top of it, and you don't have to pay his benefits. The other guys are. And now these guys can start moving up, getting promoted as they get older, get off the street, start supervising, teach the younger guys the way it's supposed to be, instead of staying in the street until you're 100 years, or move down. I mean, do we have to change the academies? Does every place have to have an academy? Like you said, do they have to be in zones? I know New York City had their own academy. Nassau County, own academy. Suffolk County.
Upstate New York, we had zones. Zone 5, Zone 14.
Yeah. So you can't go to these other departments unless you go through their academy. So maybe that'll keep you where you're at.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Another thing I would like to talk to everybody about is mental health. So mental health and drug addiction tend to get mixed together. And they're not. They're separate. There's 2 separate things. Unfortunately, South Carolina doesn't take care of neither one of them.
Oh, they do a really bad job.
Mental health, there is no mental health here. We got very lucky with my son, Jack. We all know he's in the Olympics and he does a great job. But we had gotten lucky that there was somebody down here for his medications that had a spot, was willing to, and she knocks it out of the park every time. She's a great
great.
psychiatrist. But we got lucky. And lucky comes with preparation and hard work too. So we got that taken care of. But if you don't have that, if you don't have that support system, well, now you have to stay in whatever. So these folks with these mental disabilities, they're not allowed to move on in life anymore. They can't move to a place that's a little slower and weather better because they can't leave the benefits that they have in these other states that you can't afford to live in.
Right.
Drug addiction, they don't have anything for that either. If you don't have health insurance down here, now I don't know about a lot of people, but if you got into that world of that nightmare of drug addiction, a lot of them don't have jobs that have health insurance.
No.
So there's nothing down here.
A lot of them don't have jobs.
There's nothing down here. A lot of them don't even have homes. So there's nothing here for them. They'll have a 30-day program. And then when they're done with that program, bye-bye. You go back out. And some of them get transported 4 hours away. So they get shackled out of the hospital into a police vehicle, driven 4 hours away, dropped out of the program for 30 days.
Away from family support.
About no more, there's no support anywhere now. And now they got to figure out how to get back home. Or, like other families do, they do their due diligence and they have to find a place out of state. Now your family member that's suffering through this needs to leave not the town, the entire state. They could be 1,000 miles away. If you do have health insurance, you can get in there. Yeah, we can get you in. But how good are the programs doing that? You know,
You said earlier, it can come out in 3 days.
Yeah.
Go back to the streets, you're cured.
I mean, those are things that South Carolina have to be taken care of. And I'm sure when I start hitting the campaign trail and start
You'll learn a
talking,
lot more.
there's going to be a lot of people with a lot of sad stories about their family members that were, I mean, we're not talking people getting lost in the cracks. These are canyons. These are unsurmountable obstacles in your way to functioning in a normal society. And these drugs, the way this federal government is allowing them to run in, we are just heading into the curve of the abyss.
You know,
And
the
they're not
funny
doing
part
anything with
about this district you're running for, it's actually a good district. I mean, there's not a lot of poverty in that district. There's a little bit, but there's not, because it goes from the airport down to just before Garden City. So there's a lot of.
Yeah, but I got that park right over there that's literally in Brenda Bethune's backyard, the mayor of Myrtle Beach.
What park is that?
What's that park, Jack?
Chapin?
Chapin Park.
No. You start before that.
Do I?
Yep.
Oh.
So
Well, that's a
luckily
bad park. I mean, that's right there.
That's a bad part. But
And that's
not
right
part
in
of,
Hall, right,
that's not part of the district you're running for.
right in City Hall. And then there's another thing I'd like to do. And of course, we're showing you how hard it is to get an independent political party onto the ballot. And I know there's some states out there that have it even harder than South Carolina, some are a little bit easier. But my thing with that is, if you want to run for state office, you can run. So one of two things has to happen. Either the Republicans and Democrats that are in office right now, their standard has to go as high as mine is right now to get there, or mine has to be lowered to the same standard that they have, because they can just about walk in. I think they need 300 signatures.
They need 5%.
So, I mean, they're walking into this where we're scrambling, and they got built-in pitfalls. The guy from the state I spoke to said, before I start getting any of these things done, talk to him first so I don't fall into a pitfall. Get all of these things, send it in and be like, you got this wrong. Send it all back. There is a system of pitfalls. They do not want you to succeed. They don't want a third party on these ballots.
That's right. They don't.
The last one that was able to get in, that's pretty much nationwide, and everybody understands and knows what is in there, is the Independent Party. And the Independent Party is being taken over by the Democratic Party. They're all leaving the Democratic Party, going to the Independent Party to take over two parties. Not one independent. There's not one independent that's a conservative. They are left and left of left in the Independent Party.
Yeah.
Bernie Sanders is the oldest, highest ranking elected official in the independent party. You want to be part of that? Good luck. You're better off doing your own thing. But it's a lot of work. And that's going to be my speech or my introduction to myself. I'm going to get this together and I'll get my platform completed. That's going to take a little longer because I got to send it to Dennis and Margaret and Mike and let them read it and give it back, feedback on that.
Mike can read.
Only in the daytime,
All right.
outside.
And Junior is so lucky. I mean, didn't you guys go somewhere and he won like the 50-50
Yeah.
and a bottle of wine?
And a bottle of wine. You don't need to drink wine.
Junior, you're like the most luckiest guy I know.
I won the TV too.
Yeah,
You can tell me about that.
that was a long time ago.
Yeah, it was about,
Leave that one under your hat, kid.
yeah.
So the United States is in a quandary right now. Not with they should be with the United States citizens.
Yeah.
But with Mexican cartels who are out of control. In my opinion, have paid off several members of the government, the Mexican government, who work for them. They're lawless. They can do whatever they want in public. And their police and military do nothing to stop them. They kill their own citizens. They kidnap American citizens and kill them.
Yeah.
They push more illegal drugs such as fentanyl than we can count.
You think they're working side by side with the Mexican government or are they the Mexican government?
I think they're working side by side.
I don't think it's 50-50. I think the Mexican government's a little behind them.
Mm-hmm. You know, they conduct human trafficking. Who else? What the hell knows what the hell else they do?
You know what else? Who else does that? Human trafficking?
Myrtle Beach.
The United States.
Yep, United States.
The United States is in human trafficking.
It's ridiculous. You know, they've seized more fentanyl this year than they did all in 2021. The Mexican government cannot stop them. And because of this fentanyl crisis, they're killing American citizens. They're extremely dangerous, and our government has done nothing to stop their illegal organizations. They kill people when we just let it happen. Last month, they killed 2 people. They were mistaken identity. 2 people from South Carolina.
Yeah.
Went down there on vacation to get Botox or get tummy tuck or something.
Yeah, whatever it is.
They got kidnapped and were killed.
One was from Myrtle Beach.
We have open borders with more than 5 million illegal immigrants have entered this country illegally since January of 2021.
We should show some of the hearings on that, not the one with Ted Cruz, because everybody saw that, but Mayorkas, the guy that's the secretary of that, how little he knows.
He thinks our border is secure.
He has no idea how many border security
Agents?
got injured last year. That's his.
Wow.
He doesn't know.
You know what?
A senator asked him outright, what's the number? I don't know. She knew. Well, one of her staff knew and got it.
Yeah, she didn't know.
She didn't know. She didn't know until one of the bureaucrats told her.
But these illegal immigrants crossing the border are very dangerous. Some of them are very dangerous.
Yeah.
They're probably wanted in their countries. But yeah, we just let them in. And every politician blames someone else for this problem. Joe Biden blames Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris, she's like a word salad. You can't even know what she's saying.
How can he blame Kamala? He's the one that put her in charge. Then fire her.
No one can take responsibility.
Oh, he's eating chocolate chip ice cream.
Even General Milley has stated that the cartels are taking advantage of the United States, but doesn't believe the military should be involved in any operation to curtail these cartels. Saying this is a job for law enforcement.
Say that 10 times.
This is a job for law enforcement. I do agree with that too somewhat, but this goes further than law enforcement. We have millions of illegal immigrants invading our country. Invading our country. Let me say it one more time. Invading our country. Look up their constitution.
Yeah, Texas is allowed to put their
Military.
the state reserves there.
In our country, our politicians and the military just sitting back and letting it happen. It's such a disgrace.
You know, there was a guy one time that was harassing the United States with terrorism and stuff like that. And you know what happened to him? President Reagan sent a missile to his living room window, killed that guy's son. And we didn't hear about that guy for 35 years until Hillary Clinton let him get killed and slaughtered on the street. But before that, So maybe a few missiles through their living room, take out a couple of their head guys,
Kids, they got their families or kids. Their
and
wives.
just be like, I don't know where that missile came from. That was an error. Sorry.
Watching these cartels kidnap Americans is a disgrace. But yet our politicians let it go. They let it happen. Oh, it was just a mistake. Bullshit.
Yeah.
Our military needs to grow up and show the world that we are still a superpower. Not as once as we were, but we're still a superpower. Should not be tested. This government and this military need to protect American citizens since politicians can't do the job. They need to destroy the cartels, send a huge message that we won't tolerate their games any longer. It's ridiculous that American citizens living on the border, the southern border, can't feel safe in their homes.
That one rancher got put in jail.
Yep, for defending his land.
Yeah.
Again, politicians letting a criminal get away with whatever they want. See a pattern here? Border jumping is a crime, folks.
Hello.
If our military helps secure the southern border, then law enforcement can do their job on apprehension and protecting our citizens in their homes. You have anything else to add on that?
Yeah, I was just thinking about that representative from Tennessee, like you said.
Burkett?
We know he didn't do anything to prevent this, but when you put a statement out like that he did, because it was a statement that was correct, I am hoping that was his aha moment, that he saw the light and realized that his job is protecting these precious commodities called your constituents. This is your job. Your job is not to campaign and raise money for yourself and do insider trading and worry about where you're going to land on your feet. That's all. I just hope that this guy took the time to write that. I'm sure it was a heartfelt thing, but I hope he's not corrupted from the swamp so much that he said it, now it's done.
My thing is, vote new people in. What can they do wrong?
Well, the proof is in the pudding that the ones that are there
Do nothing.
they got it wrong. The whole thing's wrong.
So why not give someone else a chance?
Yeah.
Why not give?
But who
Jack
wants to
and
do it when you have to go through this to get on a dopey little state? I mean, the amount of work that needs to be done.
We need people to step up.
Yeah.
We need that are fed up with these clowns, these tyrants, these morons, cowards. What do you want to call them?
Whatever you got. I mean, the list is long.
It is.
Criminals.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of problems here in America, as you can see. That doesn't mean they can't be fixed.
No.
We just need to come together and be part of a huge movement. There's no longer nationalism where you have pride in this country. We have sectionalism, where some people in states believe they are more down than others.
We did a podcast on that.
We did nationalism versus sectionalism. Politicians have created this problem, and we, the people, need to fix it. We have people all over this country who feel left out by politicians. Just look in your state, look in your cities. We have homeless families, homeless veterans. People can barely feed their families due to this high inflation and high food prices. But our useless politicians give billions of dollars to foreign countries and to illegal immigrants. That pisses me off the most. Illegal immigrants. We should not do anything to illegal immigrants. Like Jack said earlier, his slogan, we have a politician problem, not a citizen's problem.
That was yours.
That was mine?
It was yours. Everything's 50-50.
My question is, how long are we going to put up with it? We don't have a lot of time left in my book.
I don't think we do.
We need to act now. We need patriots to rise up and stand with us to create a better future. Or one day we're going to wake up and wonder where all our freedoms went. And then you can explain to your kids and grandkids why you did nothing. Mike, can you lead us in prayer?
After that one, Mike, it better be a good one.
Yeah. Isaiah 25:8a. He will swallow up death and victory, and the Lord God will wipe away tears from off all faces. This prayer is for all the people grieving in the nation from all the death and violence going on in this nation. Let's pray. Lord, have the people in our nation get back into fellowship with you. Lord Father, right now, standing at the graves of the ones they love, they cannot be consoled by any words. They are only capable of weeping for their loss, and all they can feel is despair and anger that their loved ones have been ripped away from them. They are in shock and pain, and yet Jesus, through his death and resurrection, has conquered death. Please, Lord Father, be with them today as they grieve. Lord, wipe away their tears and give them faith in these dark hours. For the victory is already yours. We pray this in Jesus' precious name. Amen.
Amen.
Good job, Mike.
The victory will be sweet if we all stand together and come together and stand united. Because most people have lost faith in God. Something our politicians have been trying to take away for years. They're almost there. Worship God. We need him to win this battle and this war.
You know, the word of God has been taken out of every social aspect that you need him in, where the people are in the most trouble, out of your schools and out of your courts. Those are the people that need it the most.
You know where you're allowed a Bible? You know where you get a Bible if you're a kid?
Where?
In prison. It's a little late.
You're right.
You know,
So
they took it out of everywhere, but if you ask for it when you go to prison, they'll give you one.
I want you to think about what this next statement says. I found this on Facebook today. If you put 100 black ants and 100 red ants in a jar, nothing will happen. They all get along fine. They all do whatever they need to do. But when you shake that jar, the ants start killing each other. They consider themselves each other enemies. But the real enemy is the one who shakes the jar. The same thing happens in human society. So before we attack each other, we should think of who is shaking the jar. Hopefully you get my point. Always remember, knowledge is power. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you back next week.
Good job.